Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Crypto Tips. My name is Heidi.
My name's Toby.
So a lot of what we're talking about today is wordage used in the law that was recently passed in El Salvador declaring Bitcoin as legal tender within that country. The difference between legal tender and just accepting something as a form of payment is, let's give this scenario. Let's say I owe Toby, I was gonna say $1 million, $1,000. And in my options of legal tender that I can use to repay that debt, this is specifically addressing debt. I can pay him back in any of those options, and Bitcoin is one of them. And for some crazy reason, Toby doesn't want to accept Bitcoin for that. He can't come back and sue me for not paying back the debt because I did try, or I did pay him back using Bitcoin. Whether or not he wanted to accept it or not, he has to in a legal sense. Now, let's say you just walk into a store and you want to buy a pack of gum and you only have a $100 note. It's well within the store owner's right to say, no, I can't accept that, because he can't give the proper change back, or he doesn't want to deal with such large bills. So that's well within the rights of the merchant to deny payment of a certain form. But now with El Salvador, what they're saying is that you have to accept Bitcoin no matter what. And I mean, that's a huge red flag for, even though it's like, oh, it's so great for Bitcoin, so many more people are going to be using Bitcoin. The fact that they have to use it or have to accept it, even though obviously we think it's a great idea, it's not very voluntary, it's not very free.
It's good for us, but
yeah,
really
it's good for the Bitcoin and Bitcoin community, I guess. But it's like, come on, really, is that how you want to initiate a whole citizenry of people to Bitcoin? Is because they have to? That's completely opposite of everything that, this whole space was created for, a voluntary experience, a voluntary, free, peer-to-peer way to transfer value. And look at what we got, a government in there meddling with it and turning it all to crap. Not really, it's not turning Bitcoin to crap, but. So actually, Eric Voorhees is the one who kind of inspired this video. So thank you, Eric, if you're watching. I also will say I really enjoyed one of your tweets from during the Miami Bitcoin conference, kind of calling out the maximalism and saying how, anyway, epic. Okay. This is the tweet that we're referencing today. He says, Article 7, every economic agent must accept Bitcoin as payment when offered to him by whoever acquires a good or service. This should not have been in the bill, both on ethical and logistical grounds.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of forcing people to use Bitcoin.
Yeah.
We don't want people to be forced to use Bitcoin, like they're forced to use their fiat currency, so we don't want to have a monopoly on currencies. This is a free market. This is the whole reason Bitcoin was built, is to facilitate a free market way of trade. And this is on shaky grounds right here. I'm not saying it's really cool that this has happened with El Salvador. I think it could really help out the nation, but also, we don't want Bitcoin to be used by force on people. That's what the U.S. dollar is there for. It's used, we force the rest of the world to, take oil payments from the U.S. dollar. So this is pretty important here, and I'm not bagging on the president of El Salvador at all, but.
You could if you wanted to.
I mean, yeah, sure. I guess I could. There's a lot of maximalism going on, and hey, this is great. Woohoo, look at that. We have a politician that really likes Bitcoin, and he's got laser eyes, and that's cool and all, but, right here just shows that this is not what Satoshi would have wanted, where we would be forcing people to use Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Nobody's talking about that other than Eric.
Absolutely. And that was always the shining beauty of Bitcoin and this whole cryptocurrency space, is that it's completely voluntary to use it or not to use it. So yeah, I'm really glad that he's actually bringing this up. And it also reminds me of a lot of different ways that cryptocurrencies are being interacted with now that is actually sacrificing some of the foundational layers of how you should be interacting with cryptocurrencies. For example, centralized exchanges going through heavy KYC regulations, forcing you to, cough up all of your transaction history to prove that, you're doing it honestly. A lot of that is kind of going against this right to privacy that everyone should have regarding, what they're going to do with their wealth or whatever. So a lot of people get so excited when there's, a good centralized exchange coming out or whatever. And yeah, it's just chipping away at it. And this is another example of just how so many people are really excited by this bill. I mean, we were excited about it as well. And then when it came out, what it actually, the wording in it, it does raise some red flags. And it is, just like we said before, it was setting a precedent of other countries to adopt Bitcoin as well.
So when I see really big, great people in this space calling or saying, Bukele, he called me the boss or whatever, and like, woohoo, look at that. And getting lots of likes and stuff. And I'm like, man, I hope these guys stick with their guns and continue on building and not selling out to a politician, because that can really be easy. You'll be able to see who is in it for, freedom and who is an easy sellout right now.
Yes.
So just keep that in mind.
That's the thing too. Sorry to cut you off.
That's fine.
But also we were talking about, these people who are just happy for Bitcoin adoption no matter at what cost or how it's actually implemented. How is that? That's so cultish and statist, actually, kind of a mindset. It's not very far off from the, popular America's #1, Bitcoin's #1, no matter what. What are you chipping away? What are you giving up to achieve that? And that's something that you should definitely be paying attention to, because sooner or later, if you have no ties to the fundamentals that the cypherpunks built so many years ago and still are building now, if you lost touch with that, then what are you actually excited about? You know what I mean? It's just going to be more of the same. It doesn't actually matter. It's just going to turn into the same old crap.
And so another thing, I know it's really cool that El Salvador is getting into the mining space. But I mean, I have not been hearing anything about this. The opposite, side of this which would be, what are the real reasons for this? I mean, is it because they can create their own, money laundering thing, or?
Yeah, they're talking about, having to use the Lightning Network to actually make it usable for people. Obviously, El Salvador is a huge country with remittances coming from abroad, meaning their citizens are working in other countries and sending their income home.
Yeah.
That means their incomes are going to be very low, typically. And the transaction fee of a Bitcoin transaction is probably going to, include all of that, whatever money they're trying to send, if not a huge chunk of it. So they talk about using Lightning Network now to facilitate fast, cheap transactions using specifically Bitcoin. But then at that point, if El Salvador is running those hubs of the Litecoin network, they can censor transactions. They can do whatever they want. They pretty much become a centralized bank of Bitcoin in that way. There's a lot of ins and outs of the Lightning Network, pros and cons for sure, but that's something that when you're putting it in the hands of a government, you should pay special attention to. And I really hope that by at least introducing these citizens to Bitcoin, they can learn other cryptocurrencies they can be involved with as well, whether it be privacy coins or stable coins or, fast, cheap transaction coins or whatever. I'd be really interested to see if they, turn the cheek and they say, actually, you can only use Bitcoin and no other cryptocurrencies. I don't know if that's ever going to happen or how that could happen, but, they tend to like their power grabs and taking advantage of their position.
Yeah, that I really don't trust that many politicians out there. I mean, Ron Paul is an exception, but that somebody that gets to the power of being a president, they've done a lot of shady crap to get there. And so, my warning to people that have been in this space for a long time and you know who they are, just be careful. Don't don't try to be popular and buddy up with these people just because it's the cool thing to do, or because it can make you more popular. Like for Heidi and I mean, I don't care. I haven't been popular like my whole life. I couldn't care less about that. I'm here for like truth, and and for sticking up for things that most people aren't going to talk about. Putting out a video like this is going to make us not very liked.
Well, within the Bitcoin community.
Within the Bitcoin
sure.
community. But I don't care. I couldn't care less. Like whatever. Suck it up, people. If you really want to worship status, go ahead. But we're gonna stick to our voluntary means of trade, and if we see something, if we see a red flag, we're gonna raise the red flag to people so that they get to know. All right, guys, that's all we have for today. Thank you for visiting our channel. Please like, subscribe, and definitely stay disobedient. Don't follow the sheep. Follow us and on our Patreon group, which is in the link down below.
Yep.
And then you'll get our trades, our thoughts on the market, classes,
portfolio updates.
Yep.
All the fun stuff.
It's lots of fun. So, so anyways, have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.